Why I will never do a skincare collection video. Why I will never show you all of my shelves of skincare. I feel like we need to talk about this because this is something that is hyper unique to YouTube, but very important. And recently some people had been commenting saying, Cassandra, we want to see a tour of your skincare shelf. Like, show us what's on your skincare shelf. Take us through every product. And I haven't done it. And I don't think I'm ever going to. And I do want to speak about why. You see, when YouTube first started, it was cat videos and how to tie a tie. It was, oh my God, shoes.
Let's get some shoes.
And if you don't remember Oh My God Shoes, you are a fetus. Watch it now, it's still on the internet, okay? Anyways, as YouTube started to grow and progress, these small communities started to pop up across the platform. You know, there were some for cars, there were some for travel and vlogs, and yes, there was one for beauty. And in the beauty sphere, it was a lot of tutorials, you know, how to do a specific eye look, how to put on your lipstick properly, or how to contour your face, like the basics back in the day. I mean, we didn't even do our eyebrows. Did anyone else like show up to school, just not even care about their eyebrows and just cake foundation onto their face? Because absolutely me, I did. Well, the YouTube beauty space was this cool little niche where people would share their tips and tricks, and they could foster this little group of people who cared about the same things. And for me at this time, when I had severe cystic acne, I didn't have anyone in my life who could help me with it. You know, my dad had had acne, but he went on antibiotics and they worked for them. Antibiotics didn't work for me. And my mom had 2 pimples on her wedding day, and she's like never had another pimple in her life. Not to mention, she never wore foundation. She's never even had a manicure. She's not a girly girl. So YouTube was really my way of connecting with that feminine creativity that I couldn't find anywhere else. And I couldn't find it at school because I was bullied, called pizza face and freak of nature and connect the dots because I mean, I looked like this. Doesn't mean it was okay that people did that, but they did. And then they excluded me from their groups. So I actually found those groups and communities online. And it was people like Michelle Phan doing her Lady Gaga tutorial, or it was people like Candy Johnson sharing her life updates and her beauty favorites that I really gravitated towards. And even people like Elle and Blair Fowler who would share their shopping hauls that I enjoyed so much. And I would actually try to contribute as well by filming my own clothing hauls or my own little hauls of things that I wanted to just basically take out of my bag and share. Just the way if you go shopping, you want to like sit down with your friends and tell them what you got. That haul idea was like a very intrinsic thing to, I guess, people who were born in like the 90s or maybe like who were around in the early 2000s. Like it was such an experience to go to a mall and to like walk around and have to like go to each store and try things on. And I know that sounds so dumb, but like it was an experience. And we didn't have phones back in the day. Like it was so different. We would go in, we would have those people that would like hound us on the bottom floor and be like, give me your hand, let me straighten your hair, right? And they would like, the kiosk people that would try to upsell us on stuff. It almost kind of felt like an adventure where you were on the prowl or on the hunt for the right bargain. And because the internet wasn't widely accessible, you couldn't just grab a color from online. You had to actually walk into the MAC store, swatch something and see whether or not you liked it. And while you can still walk into a MAC store or a Sephora or a beauty retailer and swatch things, it was kind of different to like go on this adventure to bring these items home and to like unbox them in front of a friend or even in front of your cousin or your mom if your mom would listen, or your cat if you were like me, you were very lonely and had 6 cats and raccoons and chickens, but that's a long story. Well, that exhilaration of shopping and bringing something home and sharing what you got ended up being shared on YouTube. And there were a bunch of different people who would do these, you know, kind of hauls. And I felt like I came up with this idea. I don't know if I was the first one or not. I don't really give a f, but I created this thing that I thought was new called the try-on haul, where I would actually try things on. And I loved being able to actually see what the clothing looked like on me and share that with other people. And it was a lot of fun. But I would watch these other people, I would watch these video responses. I would actually make video responses to some people. Some of my old videos were so embarrassing, but it was like this new community that we were taking these activities that we did in the real world, but we were kind of experiencing them online for the first time. It was exciting, it was fun, it was new. It wasn't like TikTok shop where like every other swipe up you're getting an ad, or you know, you don't know if someone actually bought this product, or you know, if they are like a company transplant, right? The internet has just gotten crazy. Anyways, there were 2 sisters, Elle and Blair Fowler, that I used to watch all the time. And I have to be super honest with myself because I would watch them and I loved so much of what they do, but I think that I was hurting inside and had some form of either jealousy or some sort of discontentment, discomfort with myself. myself. And even though I was able to be so happy for them and enjoy what they were sharing, I would almost sit there and compare myself to them or to what they had as I watched them. And that's of course not their fault. That's not on them at all, right? For me, it's based on me and my mental health if I'm gonna compare myself to someone else. They can't control my opinion of them. You know what I mean? Think about that. You cannot control someone else's opinion of you, okay? So it doesn't matter, right? Anyways, I think that I was at a place in my life where I was struggling with acne. I hated my skin. I was very upset, and I was trying to find different communities. And I thought that in order to be a part of those communities, I had to have what they had, right? And because my parents, were immigrants, and every single couch that we had in our entire house except for one, they were all couches that we got off of Craigslist or from garage sales. They were like used. They were nasty, okay? Like freaking nasty. The one couch that wasn't used was that floral one that I had filmed my foundation tutorial routine in front of that ended up getting nearly 30 million views. Crazy. But I would look at my life where, I wasn't allowed to shop for new things, or I wore hand-me-downs, and I would compare myself to these girls that just seemed to have it all. And maybe they didn't have it all, but I definitely felt that way. And it was my fault for comparing myself. But I remember when Juicy Star 07, when she did her room tour, she showed off her room and it was just so beautifully organized. She had so many nice things. And I looked at that and I compared myself to it. And I said, oh my God, my room is such a mess. My room is so tiny. I don't have all those things. And I don't know what got into me, but I literally did this thing where I sat down with a pen and paper and I basically took notes on what she had in her room, all of the things that she had. And my little delusional brain thought like, oh, if I can acquire 50 t-shirts or so many of these, that then I would be happy, or then I would feel good about myself, right? I wanted to be like her. I don't think it was hate watching because I enjoyed the content and I liked her as a person, but there was definitely a sense of insecurity within myself. And when I was watching these videos, even to this day, I don't know how to describe it, but there's this quote that says, comparison is the thief of joy. And in those moments for me, that was really true. I mean, when I look back at it, this girl who's struggling with her acne, comparing herself to someone else online who she doesn't even know, who has a completely different life, completely different circumstances, completely different upbringing. And I'm taking notes on how many t-shirts she has in her closet. And I'm pausing the video with all the little pixelated and like 720p to try to count how many t-shirts this stranger in another state has, to try to acquire that so that I could be popular. And who would I be popular with? I don't know, like just myself. But it was kind of crazy because I had this idea that obtaining these items or enough of these items would make me feel popular or good about myself. It was kind of the same as acne. It was like, oh, if I can get clear skin, I'll finally be happy. Not realizing you could have the clearest skin in the world and you could be a miserable. It's not about the outside, what you have or what you look like, it's how you feel inside. And then if you can feel good inside and then change the outside, then great. But you can't hate yourself into having clear skin. You can't hate yourself into having nice things. And something else that I don't really talk about because it's something I'm very ashamed of but need to open up about is that I had an issue with shoplifting when I was younger. And it wasn't like a clinical issue, but it was something where, again, growing up and only having access to clothing from thrift stores or from hand-me-downs, I was very lucky that I grew up in an area that was more middle class, but I didn't have all of the things that the other people in the middle class did, right? People got new cars for their 16th birthday. And my friends literally called it the fetus car because it smelled like a rotting fetus. It was my grandparents' hand-me-down Honda from was it like the 60s? It was so bad. And there would be rotting fruit in the back because my grandma, she had her little fruit orchards and she would pick the fruit and she would take me to send it home to my family, but then I would forget it's in the trunk and then there would be like rotting, fermenting fruit in the trunk. Anyways, there were multiple reasons that I was teased a lot at school. Not that it was okay, but there were at least reasons, even if they weren't valid ones. Well, I had an issue with shoplifting because I didn't feel good enough to go to school in the fetus car with the thrift store clothing, with my acne, with all of the issues I was dealing with. I even still get choked up about it to this day because it was another really rough period in my life, and this year was rough too. Those are probably the two roughest periods of my life. Some happened to me. But anyways, therapy. Therapy for 10 years. We're still not over it, but at least we're better than we were. Okay. Anyways, I had an issue with shoplifting because I couldn't afford to buy the nice things. So I would literally try to beg, borrow, and steal. There was literally a store called Beg, Borrow, and Steal. I would go on eBay and purchase items. I would buy things from consignment stores. And I did have an issue where I did steal a couple of items from department stores. And I am so not proud of that. I did get caught, and I'm so glad I did, because if I didn't get caught, I wonder if it would have continued. But it was a huge issue for me because it was my way of feeling good enough. Just the way I used to count how many t-shirts were in Juicy Star 07's closet or how many bracelets she had on her little rack. I would get ready for school when I was the most depressed and upset, breaking out. My grandfather just died like in high school. Life was total shit. And I would count how much retail value I was wearing that day. And I would not leave the house if I wasn't wearing a minimum of $500 worth of clothing. For example, were the jeans, True Religion, even if they had holes in them because I shoplifted them and ripped out the little tags, was my shirt Ed Hardy at the time, right? And obviously wearing those things wasn't gonna make me popular, but in my mind I was like, okay, if you're gonna call me freak of nature, walking infection, if you're gonna call me connect the dots, Rocky Road, at least I can look rich while you call me that. Because at that time, being pretty and being rich were the only things that people respected in that school. And being smart or being quirky, maybe they were respected like in certain niches or certain areas, but it didn't feel like it to me. High school was absolute hell. Everyone said that it would get better after middle school. It didn't. High school was worse. And that's why I graduated 2 years early. I was like, this. And that's why I went into aesthetic school. And that's why I started the modeling industry and then ended up going and studying nutrition in college and sports medicine and these other things early, because I was like, this. Anyways, the long story short is that I had a lot of issues with my material identity. I had so many deep-rooted issues with who I was that I was comparing myself to others, both at school and now online. Now, obviously, I've come a long way. Obviously, I don't give a if I'm wearing something that's $2 or $15 if I got off of Amazon. I don't give a right? And I'm so glad that I was able to grow up. I was able to be in $80,000 worth of credit card debt to know this is what matters or this is not what matters to me in the long run. I had to learn that lesson the hard way. I had to get caught shoplifting. I'm so glad I did. I had to watch a bunch of YouTube videos and realize that no matter how many things I bought, I was never going to become that person. And why would I want to become them when I could learn to love me? Even though I'm not doing that anymore, I see some people asking me, oh my gosh, Cassandra, like, can we see your collection? Can we see what's in it? I'm so curious. And my skincare collection, which I don't even call it, I call it kind of like a toolkit or just a shelf. It is not what anyone else should have. I do not recommend anyone have even a fraction of the amount of skincare that I have. I have to be super upfront with you that this is literally my job in aesthetics, to take care of other people, to use products on them, to give them treatments, as well as creating content, buying and trying different things to tell you if they're good or if they suck. That is literally my job. And I do spend money on these things, and I do get sent certain things in PR to be able to make this content, which is a part of my job. Now, because of that, yes, I have way too much skincare than I could ever use or that anyone else could ever use. This is not normal. It works for me for the time being because I use it and it is literally, again, a part of my career. But other people shouldn't be aspiring to this. You should have what works for you, or if you work in a field, you should have what works for your clients, right? And my skincare shelf, I will, without doing a skincare collection or tour, I will explain it. I have shelves for me and I have shelves for clients. And I do not touch the stuff to my own skin that I use on clients. And then I do have PR, which is when brands have like a new launch. Sometimes they will send it to people who have followings online to try to see if that person likes it, wants to promote it, have a sponsorship, feature it organically, etc. And that can be a really great way for businesses to grow and sell their products if a content creator likes their stuff and talks about it. Or it can be a giant waste of money, which a lot of times it is when they send it to me, because I will tear it to shreds if I don't like it. But from all of these circumstances of me being a medical esthetician and putting products on people's faces, to me being a content creator and sharing product reviews online, I've probably tested at least 5,000, if not 10,000 different products. Insane. And on top of that, getting free PR in these 3 different categories, these are very unique circumstances that many other people either don't have or don't need to be in. Like, that isn't sustainable or reasonable for other people. And when I think back to 16-year-old me struggling with my acne, struggling with my identity, with my appearance, with shoplifting, with all of these things, comparing myself to the people at school and the people online, I remember how miserable that made me feel. And I remember that it was me, it was my fault this was happening, but nonetheless it did happen. And now that I've gotten over that, I feel so much more comfortable in my skin. Money does not define my worth. Visual appearance does not define my worth, and I'm aware of that. I still know some of the mental pitfalls that I tripped up on. And for me, I just don't see the benefit of sharing a skincare routine collection. Like, what would it give people? What benefit would it have for people? Oh, look at me, you know, consumerism. Like, that doesn't do anything. If you have a question about a certain product or an ingredient, absolutely, I will dive in. I will tell you if it sucks or if it works. But I don't want young 16-year-old me to watch a skincare collection and to feel like she doesn't have enough products to be beautiful, or a new esthetician. I don't want them to be watching a collection video and feel like they have to buy all these products to have a good service or a good treatment. And I don't want people to feel less than when they watch, you know, a piece of content where you're just kind of talking about all the things that you have or that you've acquired, when my circumstances are very different than someone else's. And I understand that I can't control how someone else feels. Some people might watch it and enjoy the organization component, or they might not feel bad about it at all. I can't control how a viewer feels about the content, right? But at the same time, I do remember how negatively it impacted me because of myself. I mean, I've also kept up to date with some of the studies about social media and depression and eating disorders and body dysmorphic disorder. And even when young teenagers know that they are seeing photoshopped images or filtered images, their self-esteem can still be negatively impacted by consuming social media. And when I look at those studies in, you know, psychology journals and these anecdotes of mental health from people online, I can't help but wonder, am I contributing to the internetosphere in a positive or negative way? You know, the term influencer has such a nefarious connotation around it, right? It's like, oh, influencer. But the way I see it is that in your life, you can have positive influences who help you, or negative influences that badly influence you to do things, right? And I'm not embarrassed to be an influencer if I'm positively influencing someone to get educated, to be a skeptic, to be a critic, to turn and learn their ingredients and get excited about chemistry and STEM. And if I can talk to someone about body positivity and acne positivity through the lens of fun products and cute packaging and fun chemistry and celebrity routines, heck yeah, I'm gonna do it. It's almost like clickbait or a bait and switch, right? The girl who's struggling with her skin is not looking for, how do I learn to love myself? She's like, I want acne coverage routine. I want a K-beauty acne routine. Okay, here's the K-beauty acne routine you searched for, but here's the bait and switch, because now I'm gonna tell you why acne is not bad. Here's the science behind it and why you don't have to hate yourself for it, right? But as I hope that I am a positive influence, it makes me wonder, a video like this, what would the positive influence be? I just feel like it has so much more negative potential. I don't think it would benefit anyone. And I know I can't control this, but I honestly just don't want a viewer or a young esthetician who's trying to get started in their career, or a young person who's struggling with their skin, to look at this and feel like they don't have enough. And maybe I'm warped, like, please tell me in the comments, like, is this delusional? But I don't think I'm ever going to do a video like that, because what good does it do? I do think I would consider doing like an office tour, you know, showing my aesthetic equipment or things like that. I think that could be helpful for other estheticians, but just showing you what's on a shelf that costs money and is gonna expire if it's not used in a couple of years, I just don't see the purpose in that for me. And I don't want to create a situation that puts someone else in that mental state that I was in when I was 16. You know, pausing Blair Fowler's video to count how many bracelets she had in hopes that I could save up or steal enough of them so that I could be as popular as her. And again, that's not her fault. That was 100% on me and in my head. But I can see that now as I've grown. And I just wonder if there are other people out there that are like that. I'm sure there are, and I don't want to fuel it. You know what I mean? Am I crazy? Am I delusional? Is this a terrible thing? Am I totally basswords wrong? Please tell me, because maybe nobody cares and people want that. But for me, if it's not going to have a positive influence, I don't see the point. So that is why you will never, probably ever, get a collection video from me. Try to change my mind. I dare you. Should I literally go out with a sign and a table and be like, try to change my mind? Anyways, me and my pretty purple shirt Can't wait to read the comments on this one because yeah, share a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have shared, but hey, it's the truth. So kind of an open book. Do I have boundaries? That's a question for my therapist. Anyways, do remember to stay hydrated both orally and topically with the products that work for you. Again, in building a skincare routine, it's okay to have fun products. It's okay to take shelfies, but get what works for you. You don't need it to be excessive. So stay hydrated with the things that work for you. Reapply your sunscreen with the sunscreens that work for you. Play around with textures, try different ones. Get one that you like. You don't need 500, okay? Unless you are a cosmetic chemist or a content creator or a reviewer, okay? And most importantly, always remember to be beautiful both inside and out. I love you and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.